The day after a damning report about the cost of new F-35 fighter jets, the government was slammed again with questions about truth, accountability, and how much the ministers actually knew about that $10 billion price discrepancy. Our senior correspondent, Terry Malevsky, has more on this story for us tonight. Terry.
Well, Peter, once again, the opposition insisted that Canadians were deceived about the cost of the F-35, while the government counters that it is making changes and hasn't yet bought any planes. But the anger about the deception remains at a high level.
And I tell you who I think should resign. I think Stephen Harper should resign.
Liberal Bob Rae continued to demand the Prime Minister's resignation, but in the House, the NDP's Tom Mulcair went after Defence Minister Peter MacKay.
When will the Defence Minister finally stand up and take responsibility for the F-35 debacle? Where's the accountability?
The response was that changes will be made and no money has been wasted.
The reality, Mr. Speaker, of course, is the government has not yet purchased any such planes.
Still, the NDP wanted MacKay to answer for himself.
The Minister of Defence can stop looking around. This isn't a fishing lodge. There's no helicopter coming for him today. Will he stand up and take responsibility for this today?
Then, for the first time in this affair, MacKay did answer.
Mr. Speaker, and we will continue now with the guidance of Public Works to move forward with a proper acquisition process to replace the aging CF-18s.
Still, the Auditor General's report has to hurt the minister who struck a Top Gun pose 2 years ago in a mock-up of the F-35. The occasion was the announcement that Canada would buy a fleet of F-35s, and it's interesting to note now what the minister said back then.
There was a competitive process.
For one thing, the auditor says there was no real competition with other planes, because Canada was committed to the F-35 all along. But MacKay and Rona Ambrose, the Public Works Minister, both insisted then that there was a competition.
When we do any major military procurements, we look at all options.
The decision was taken after an extensive study of the capability of the aircraft itself, other aircrafts.
That is not the only thing they said then which conflicts with the Auditor General's report now. They also claimed they could not say what it would cost to operate the F-35 fleet.
The in-service support costs will be negotiated with our MOU partners. Of course, we have some estimates, but the actual aircraft is not in production yet.
But the Auditor General says even then the government did have a good estimate of the operating costs, but concealed it because those costs added $10 billion to the figure of $15 billion that the government used publicly.
We now know the government had the numbers, but they withheld them from Parliament. It was, remember, it was the issue that caused the last election.
So the opposition will continue to hammer away at the issue of deception, while the government will try to ride out the storm and hope that it fades over the coming Easter break. Peter.
All right, Terry, thank you. Terry Malevsky in Ottawa.